When I was 9, my parents read my secret diary and punished me for what I've written inside. Now they're asking me why I'm being lazy and not keeping a journal anymore. My aunt gave me this little purple notebook for my birthday. Tiny gold lock on the front, 2 keys. I felt like I finally had something that was just mine. I was the kind of kid who wrote everything down. What I had for lunch, what made me laugh at recess, how I felt when my best friend ignored me for a week straight. Writing was how I made sense of the world. It was the one place where I didn't have to perform. I didn't have to be the good daughter or the quiet one or the one who smiled at relatives she barely knew. I could just be honest. That notebook felt like a door I could finally close. First night I had it, my dad asked for a key. I said no. He laughed it off like it was cute. My mom raised an eyebrow but didn't push it. I figured I'd won. I figured I was safe. 3 days later, 1 key was gone. I tore my whole room apart looking for it. Checked under my mattress, in my backpack, inside my shoes. Nothing. I asked my parents. My mom crossed her arms and said I was always losing things. My dad didn't even look up from the TV. I let it go, but something in my stomach didn't. For a month, I wrote everything in that diary. My crushes. How embarrassed I was when I cried at school over a bad grade and 2 kids saw me. The time my dad screamed at my mom during dinner and then acted the next morning like nothing happened. How I thought my parents were deeply unfair and I had no way to say it out loud. How sometimes I felt invisible inside my own house. I locked it every single night. I tucked it under the loose floorboard under my bed that I'd discovered the year before. Then I came home one afternoon and the notebook was sitting open on my pillow. Not under the floorboard. On my pillow. Open. My mom had read every page. Every single one. She didn't even try to hide it. She was sitting at my desk when I walked in, still holding it. She set it down slowly like she was doing me a favor by letting go of it. She told me she was worried about my attitude. She said some of what I wrote was disrespectful and that she raised me better than that. She wasn't yelling. That was the worst part. She was completely calm, like she'd rehearsed the whole thing. My dad came in a few minutes later. He grounded me for 2 weeks for disrespecting the family in writing. In writing, like I'd filed an official complaint. I tried to explain that it was private, that it was mine, that the whole point of a diary was that nobody else reads it. My mom cut me off and said that children in this house don't get to have secrets. My dad said if I had nothing to hide, then I wouldn't care who read it. They took the notebook. They said I could have a new one if I agreed to leave it on the kitchen counter every night so my mom could check my spelling and grammar. I want you to really hear that. My diary. On the kitchen counter. Every night. To be reviewed. I said, okay. What else was I going to say? I lasted 4 days. I sat at the counter with a pen and stared at the blank page and felt my brain go completely quiet. Not peaceful quiet. Empty quiet. Like someone had walked into a room I loved and rearranged everything just slightly enough that it didn't feel like mine anymore. On the 5th day, I told my mom I just wasn't in the mood. She said that was fine. I never picked it up again. I tried once more in middle school. Bought a new notebook with my own money, kept it in my locker at school, wrote in it between classes. It worked for about 3 weeks until I accidentally left it in my jacket pocket and my mom found it doing laundry. She read the whole thing before I got home. That night, she sat me down and told me she was concerned about some of the things I was feeling. Not in a caring way. In a this will be used against you way. 2 days later, she brought up something I'd written during an argument, used it as proof that I was unstable and dramatic. I threw the notebook in a dumpster on the way to school. After that, I just stopped. No more notebooks, no more journals. I started keeping things in my head, which sounds fine until you realize how much your head can hold before it starts losing things. Dates, conversations, versions of yourself you'll never get back. I'm in my mid-20s now. I still can't write anything personal on paper without my hands tensing up. I'll start a sentence and then stop. I'll think about who might read it. I'll imagine my mom's face. I'll close the notebook. I've started and abandoned probably 40 journals in the last 15 years. Every single one of them has fewer than 10 pages filled in. Last Tuesday, my mom patted my hand at dinner and said she thinks I should really try journaling again. She said it's good for the memory. She said she read an article about it. She smiled at me like she was offering something. I just stared at my plate.